This is OBN Horn of Africa English News Broadcast. I'm Aklilu Gabru with the latest news of the hour, commencing with the headlines. Cafe Oromia discussed on various agendas in its second day. And from abroad, Egypt's annual inflation hits record high. Now the news in brief. Ethiopian Federal Police Chief Commissioner General Demelash ገብረሚካኤል held a discussion with the delegation led by China's Vice Minister of Public Security, Chen Zhiyuan. During the meeting, General Demelash ገብረሚካኤል recalled his recent visit to China and the discussions he held with officials of fellow institutions on ways of strengthening the cooperation of the police institutions of the two countries. He further recalled that the discussion also focused on organizing bilateral senior officials and expert group forums and jointly prevent cross-border crimes. Chen Zhiyuan, for his part, said that China pays special attention to its diplomatic relations with Ethiopia. He indicated that his country is ready to help the Forensic Excellence Center being built by the Ethiopian Federal Police with materials, capacity building and technology. The National Bank of Ethiopia disclosed that the implementation of the national ID will help to build a stronger financial sector by reducing financial fraud, increasing the improved customer identity verification system. The National Bank of Ethiopia, in collaboration with the National ID Program, has announced the launching of the Digital ID for the Financial Sector project, mentioning that it has started two programs on the implementation of the Digital ID. National Bank of Ethiopia indicated that the first program is to enable all financial institutions to provide their customers with the Digital ID system in the 2023-24 fiscal year so that they can benefit from better services. It is pointed out that the objective of this program is to expand access to financial services for the country's residents. The process is carried out by giving the emphasis to the protection of the personal information of the registrant and ensuring the security of the information. Still moving on, President of the Oromia Supreme Court, Ghazali Abbas Simal, says maximum efforts are underway in utilizing technologies to provide swift and accessible legal services. The President has presented a performance report of the Supreme Court to the Cafe Oromia. Let's has more.
Regular session of the Cafe Oromia is underway for the second day. On the occasion, President of the Oromia Supreme Court, Ghazali Abbas Simal, has presented the 2022/2023 Court's Performance Report and the 2023/2024 Work Plan. In his report, the President noted that the courts in Oromia have been playing their role in building democratic system through improving justice system in the region. According to him, efforts were made to address challenges faced by Oromia courts. Ghazali further explained that the work performance of the Oromia courts in their budget year was productive.
Regarding enhancing accessibility of legal service, work has been done so that judicial service will be accessible, swift, and effective, and enable clients to get their justice in a short period of time. Efforts were also made in fulfilling technologies enabling courts make their services accessible. On the other hand, customary courts have been established with the aim allowing the communities solve their disputes at their vicinity, backing to their culture and values. The move has produced good results. Regarding improving legal service swiftness, the work of establishing systems and implementing them as well as creating awareness was done in order to make the service of courts be delivered in a required period and to make clients not to be incur unnecessary costs.
President Ghazali Abbas Simal has also presented the court's plan for the 2023/2024.
The following major activities will be carried out in the 2023-2024 budget plan with due emphasis. To ensure quality of legal service, the started works will be retained, especially as the lower level courts. Work will be carried out in collaboration with all levels of justice bodies for the existence of balanced independence and responsibility. Efforts will also be intensified so that all court communities will carry out their duties in accordance with the professional ethics required in the legal service delivery.
President of the Supreme Court further elaborated that maximum efforts will be made to achieving the foundational objective of the traditional courts through providing them with the necessary support. Commenting on the presented report, a government whip at the Chafe, Fikadu Tasama applauded the role of customary courts in the improvements observed in the provision of the legal service.
The establishment of traditional courts, which is a great initiative taken by the regional government of Oromia, has played immense role in the improvement seen in the legal service delivery.
Members of the Chafe have also commended the role of traditional courts in resolving disputes in the community.
Still ahead, members of Chafe Oromia have raised questions and comments on the shortage of medicines, lack of services with completed health facilities and others. Responding to queries raised by members, head of the Oromia Health Bureau, Dr. Mengistu Beqqele, said 48% of the annual budget allocated to the Health Bureau was spent on medicinal equipment and medicine supply. Fikadu Brahanu has the details.
Members of the Chafe Oromia raised questions and commented on the shortage of medicines, the lack of swift services, health facilities and others. Responding to queries raised by the members, head of the Oromia Health Bureau, Dr. Mengistu Beqqele, said 48% of the annual budget allocated to the Health Bureau was spent on medical equipment and medicine supply.
Baruma kana sektara kana bajanni guddaa ramadamee jira.
Last year, 3 billion birr out of the annual budget allocated for the Bureau was spent on the purchase of medicines and medical equipment. The modern medical equipment being expanded in the health facilities in the central cities is exemplary at the country level, and that fulfills the international standards. Work is being done to expand a strong monitoring and control system of government pharmacies to solve the shortage of medicines. Accordingly, 356 community pharmacies have been established across the state. Action was taken against 333 institutions and entities during the monitoring and control system. We need to strengthen monitoring systems to reduce drug wastage. Preparations have been completed to fully resume operations of the new health facilities in the first quarter of 2016.
He said that in the past 3 years alone, 1,700 health projects have been completed and put into service. Head of the Oromia Water and Energy Bureau, Engineer Milion Beqqele, said that the government will work with due attention to solve problems related to access to clean drinking water.
Karoora mootummaa naannoo Oromiyaa keessatti haaluma humna mootummaa naannoo Oromiyaatiin prioritize godhamee gara fuulduraatti.
The demand for new projects will be given priority based on the capacity of the government. Water-related projects have been successfully completed this year. Delayed projects that have complex problems have been identified and support and monitoring will be provided. The community participation in these development activities is high. A new initiative has been prepared to further expand the participation of the people. The initiative will be the community to draw water for themselves until the government reaches. In addition, the government has established a water fund to further improve water supply. I urge stakeholders to play their part in making this work a success.
Head of the Oromia Education Bureau, Dr. Tola Bariso, who responded to questions raised by the members in connection to the education sector, noted that attention was given to improve the teaching and learning system.
Kitaba kutaa tokko sadi shanii fi torba.
The state government was working to provide more than 27 million books to address the book shortage, but we achieved 30 of the intended goal due to shortage of foreign currency we faced. We will work with stakeholders to supply sufficient books to our students in the coming education period. Work is also being done to address the shortage of teachers in the region. In terms of school feeding, 5.2 million students in the region received school feeding service, and work will be done to increase it further next year.
The Café Oromia has started its fifth regular session, second working year of the sixth Café yesterday here in Adama City. In its second day of the session, the Café has discussed on various agendas. Let's cross live to our reporter Anwar Khalil, who is on the spot at the Café Conventional Center. Anwar, hello Anwar, would you tell us about the second day Café session, what it looks like and the issues under deliberation?
Today, the Café has continued, or Café Oromia, which is the legislative body of Oromia State, has continued its fifth regular ordinary session of the second working year. And by the way, this Café is the sixth Café of the regional state, which is the working council of the region. And today, the Café has heard the performance report of Oromia Supreme Court. And President of the Oromia Supreme Court, Ghazali Abbasimal, has presented the report of the court, where I took some key points as follows that I will tell you. About 3,405 people have got free legal service by the courts in the region. This means something incredible, that the needy will not fail to get justice service due to a financial problem. So this amounts, for instance, about 219,525,000 birr. It was that. So it means something incredible. The other thing is, yesterday I reported that the Café has revolutionized the tradition of Oromo by wearing Oromo traditional clothes that would motivate local designers and also cottage industry asset. Not only in that case, this Café is also doing another good job by introducing customary course. Before a year or so, it was proclaimed by Café Oromia, and this year alone, 326,428 cases have got final decision by first instant customary courts in 6,232 villages of the region. It means the expense that these people would have paid could be maintained, and that amounts about 1.3 billion birr. The expense that would have been spent by individuals by going to regular courts. So the Café is doing a good job in this case. And Ghazali also reported that the court is working to make courts free, even the regular courts. And the customary courts are supporting these regular courts, as he said. And the Supreme Court has also published a book, law dictionary, which is English of an Oromo law dictionary, which is like others call the black law dictionary, they say. So in this case, we say English of an Oromo law dictionary. He also reported that the Supreme Court is building its own building in Finfinne City at Café Arara in Finfinne City, and which has 2 basements and G+13, and will be inaugurated at the beginning of Ethiopian New Year 2016, according to Obo Ghazali Abbasimal. He said video conference and e-filing could also support people of the region, and it could be possible to avoid the money and time they would have spent for traveling to courts. Through video conference, e-filing, they could have suffered a lot, but that could be resolved using this technology. And I said it is being worked to modernize the courts of the region by using different technologies to avoid problems of that kind. And comments were also raised by members of the Café, where they stressed the false witnesses in regular courts have damaged the justice system in the region. But in general, members of the Café appreciated performance of the courts compared to the previous times. And Ghazali Abbasimal, president of Oromia Supreme Court, thanked members of the Chafe for that appreciation and their follow-up, and also said it will be worked harder than ever to make the justice system of the region swift, quality, and fair. The other presenter, of course, who responded to the questions and comments raised was Government Whip with Chafe Oromia Fukadu Tasamma, who is also head of Prosperity Party Office of Oromia Region State. He said the government would strengthen customary courts in the region. They can resolve problems, conflicts, and disagreements in the region through peaceful way, as per the Gada system, through dialogue, through reconciliation, through mediation. So those discussions, those courts, the traditional customary courts under the Oda shade, are important in settling problems in the society, so that the government would work to strengthen that, is said. The Chafe has also today heard the report of the Secretariat of the Chafe Oromia itself. And it said standing committees of the Chafe traveled all over the region, except in places with security problems, checked performance of the executive body with regard to socio-economic and political spheres, and the activities of check and balance would be strengthened, according to Chafe Oromia Secretariat. It said for the next year, or budget year 2016 Ethiopian calendar, or 2023-2024 fiscal year, it will be worked by checking the situation, the works, activities of the executive body, that is the secretary said. And the Chafe today, and in the second day meeting, also heard the performance report of the Bureau of Oromia Auditor General. And in the second, in the afternoon session, other programs would follow. Like I informed yesterday as well, there will be a person suspected of some crimes, expected to, the Chafe is expected to lift immunity of an individual, and we'll see together that. Also appointments will be today, individuals will be appointed, and also judges will be appointed to districts. And I'll report that later as well. For now, this is it.
Reporter Anor Clear for your insightful report. And when I proceed to the next news, the General Department of the East African Standby Force status is carrying out a capacity building work to effectively protect the peace and security of the region. The department has begun 10-day training for military personnel drawn from all member states and on logistics delivery and mission execution. Let us has more.
A 10-day integrated mission support training is being provided to equip the participants drawn from Eastern Africa Standby Force with essential knowledge, skills, and attitude required for effective planning, coordination, and successful delivery of the mission. Opening the training, Chief of Staff of Eastern African Standby Force, Logistic Base Colonel Ahmed Issa applauded the role of Ethiopian peacekeeping mission in Africa. He said that Ethiopia is the leading and the first country in Africa to participate in peacekeeping mission.
Ethiopia is very committed and very crucial for participating in peace support operations, not only in East Africa, but for all Africa. And I can say that they were the leading and the first country in Africa to participate peacekeeping mission. Ethiopia has participated peacekeeping mission in 50 years. To Korea, and they almost participated all peacekeeping missions in Africa. So that I would like to thank the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia for their efforts to peace support operations, as well as the general peace and security of the continent.
Ethiopian Defense Forces Foreign Relation and Military Cooperation Training Affairs Director Mokonina Bebe said the people of our motherland, Africa, the people of East Africa region, deserve a prosperous and peaceful region. The continental and regional peace and security architectures have been created not for any other purposes, but to realize the dream of our people, he elaborated. For Abebe, the peace and security architectures, such as the East African Standby Forces, are created to mitigate and resolve conflicts in the region.
The peace and security architecture, such as the East African Standby Force, ASF, are created to mitigate and resolve the conflicts in our region and avoid their disastrous impact on the political, social, and economic development of the continent. The ASF in particular brings together the three components, military, police and civilian components from different nations of the East African region. This will undoubtedly contribute to the building of cohesion, tolerance, and better understanding. My country, Ethiopia, greatly appreciates the efforts that have been made by all member states for this organization come to existence and operate with all its capacity.
Eastern African Standby Force Commander Brigadier General Getachew Ali for his part said that Eastern Africa Standby Force is one of the organizations established to resolve African problems by African solutions. Logistics sector is crucial to protect the region's peace and security in an integrated manner, as giving integrated mission support training is pivotal to achieve the needed tasks in the region.
You're watching English News broadcast on OBN Horn of Africa channel. Economists say the government should strengthen the work it has started to control inflation by improving production and productivity. It is recalled that Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, in his recent explanation to members of the House of People's Representatives, said that the first homegrown economic reform has been achieved despite many challenges. Shotopsi explains.
Speaking to Ethiopian news agency, the economists said the inflation problem raised by members of the parliament is appropriate as it is a timely issue. Head of the African Chamber of Commerce and an economist, Kebur Ganna, said the inflation has international feature. According to him, price of commodities increased in connection with Russia-Ukraine war.
ምርት ላይና ምርቱ ማብዛት ብቻ ሳይሆን ጥራቱንም አብሮ ማሳደግ የሚቻልበትን መፈለግ ያስፈልጋል.
As I mentioned, the focus is on productivity, not only production increment but also increasing quality of product. On the other side, decreasing expenditure is the other issue. The tax imposed on luxury commodities is good step, but it is not enough.
The other economist, Dr. Konstantinos Bere, for his part said inflation is caused for many reasons. He states that the price increment of consumption products and import goods is one of the reasons. According to him, contraband and black market expansion is the other reason. Dr. Konstantinos reiterates that the effort being exerted by the government along with homegrown economic policy is encouraging.
ሁሉም ከመንግስት ነው የሚጠብቀው እና ህዝቡስ ምን እየሰራ ነው የሚለውም ጥያቄ መመለስ ያስፈልጋል.
The question, if all things are expected from the government and what should the society do, must be answered. With large farming land, more than 70 million hectares, the youth population accounts for 70% of the total. Can't they work to solve the problem? It demands policy and political decision. Investors can come and invest when there is political stability.
Likewise, Kebur Ganna emphasized the need to ensure peace and security to solve inflation problem. According to the economists, inflation can be controlled when sustainable peace is ensured.
ዋናው ትልቁ ችግር የሰላሙ ችግር ነው።
The main problem is security issue. Unless the security problem is solved, the workers mentioned can't be bring about the result. Investors don't come. Those engaged on trade activity and industry want us to be sure about the security matter. Creditors also raised the question if the debtor can pay for the loan.
The Ethiopian Industrial Parks Development Corporation announced Indian investors engaged in agro-processing at Jimma Industrial Park are producing avocado oil and exporting it to Italy and various countries around the world. Jimma Industrial Park also stated that it is accepting domestic and foreign investors who want to process various agricultural products. Fukadu Burhanu.
Media professionals drawn from different media houses visited Jimma Industrial Park. They have planted 3 seedlings in the park in connection with the second phase Green Legacy program. Chief Executive Officer of Jimma Industrial Park, Tasfai Likisa, said that the park has set to plant more than 80,000 tree seedlings. He noted that in order to increase production inputs, the park has distributed 500,000 avocado seedlings to the local farmers.
የራሳችን ነርሰሪ ከባለ ሀብቱ ጋር በመተባበር እስከ 500,000 የሚሆን ዘንድሮ አዘጋጅተናል።
We've prepared around 500,000 avocado seedlings on our own nurseries. Along with investors in general, we've distributed more than 4 million seedlings to the surrounding community without payment. We've created a good connection with zonal and district structures to sustain this work.
He noted that Akshay J, Indian-based company, is producing and exporting avocado oil, adding that 9 production sheds are also ready for investors who want to engage on agro-processing works.
Avocado and ግብአት ነው። ሌሎች ደግሞ ያልተነኩ ግብአቶች.
Avocado is one part of our industrial inputs. There are other inputs like coffee, honey, which needs due attention. We are making agreement with those who want to work on agro-processing to join the industrial park.
Tasfai stated that the park has created market linkage to more than 15,000 local farmers. Head of Engineering and Maintenance Department at Jimma Industrial Park, Engineer Wasin Mulgeta, for his part, stressed that besides producing avocado oil, Akshay J company is building compost and energy production factory at a cost of 70 million birr.
የባዮጋዝና የማዳበሪያ ፋብሪካ እየገነባ ነው። ስለዚህ ከዚህ በኋላ እሱ ፋብሪካ ሲጠናቀቅ
We are constructing biogas and compost factory. After completion of this factory, every waste in this industrial park will be changed to other useful things. In doing so, Jimma Industrial Park will be free from polluting the area.
Head of the Park's Safety and Administration Department, Commander Bisrat Buzuna, underscored that the park has been providing one center safety and administration services.
አጠቃላይ ወደ 58 ካሜራዎች አሉ።
With around 58 security cameras, these cameras show us the situation of all production sheds, so we monitor and control the safety of our parkers in this way.
Jimma Industrial Park was inaugurated in 2019 by Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed.
Finally, to the news from Egypt. Egypt's annual inflation rate hit a record high of 36.8% in June, according to official figures announced on Monday. The country, in its midst of the economic crisis exacerbated by Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, the previous record inflation rate of 34.2% in July 2017 followed a sharp devaluation of the country's currency linked to a bailout loan from the International Monetary Fund. This year's record similarly comes after a bailout loan from the IMF last year. The Egyptian pound has lost half its value in a year, which has made conditions even more difficult for households as prices rise. Even before the current economic crisis, 2/3 of Egypt's 105 million inhabitants lived under or just under the poverty line, according to the World Bank. Egypt, one of the 5 countries in the world most at the risk of defaulting on its external debts, according to ratings agency Moody's, has had a rely on bailouts from Gulf countries and the IMF in recent years. Well, with that we come to the end of our today's news edition. Thanks for watching and have a good day.